Bonjour, le bel Luce. Pourquoi le buzz?
I am doing some serious research, so I came to the source of all things worth knowing.
Ooh, I like that billing. What can I do to reinforce this hallucination?
I want your opinion. What is the single most important thing that men need to learn about women? See what you just did? You just did a very male thing. Men are so afraid to be a teeny weeny bit wrong. They get all paranoid about it that they avoid questions because they're afraid they're going to be incorrect.
Well, that's not true. To a man, a teeny weeny bit wrong is like a little bit pregnant to a woman. It doesn't happen.
So you're not going to answer my question?
Darling, if I knew the one thing that a man should know about women, I certainly wouldn't tell you. But, baby, I'd rule the world.
Okay. All right, let me help you out here. I'll be more specific. What is the one thing that you need to learn about Laura?
To not put her in a position where she has to blow somebody away with a shotgun in her own living room.
Too specific.
You know, I might enjoy this conversation, Luce, if I had any idea what it was about.
And I would love to tell you. I can't.
I understand that. Nice talking to you.
Luke! Okay, all right, I will. But you cannot breathe a word of this to anybody, promise?
You don't have to say that to me. In fact, you don't have to say that to any man. It's not that we're so reliable. It's just that we forget this kind of stuff so fast.
No, not this kind of stuff. You're not going to forget this. Okay. You remember last night when I came in here with those two friends of mine, Norma and Eve? It was Kevin and Mac.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
That is the punchline. Kevin and Mac are dressing as women.
I knew that.
No, you didn't. I didn't know that. I mean, no one was supposed to know that. You did not. No,
I did. I knew that. Well, not specifically, but I'd pretty much decided to skip England on my next trip to Europe. I figured, you know, there's something in the water there that's making these hormones crash and burn. Although, there was something about that Eve in a sort of low-life, tawdry way that was a turn-on.
Aren't you even curious as to why Mac and Kevin are dressing as two very large British women?
Well, if memory serves, there's a long tradition of that in Parliament. Actually, I think they wear those little curly-top wigs in court, you know. Aren't they due for another scandal on the aisle?
Luke.
Lucy, please. You know, I don't want to know. I'm begging you. No. All right, you win. Why are Mac and Kevin dressing as two large British women?
I'm really not sure.
I'm going to kill you now.
Well, I have my suspicions. I mean, I know they want to infiltrate Madame Maya's conference for women only because, see, Kevin just doesn't trust Madame Maya's influence over me.
So his judgment is sound. It's just his taste in accessories we have to worry about.
You do not have to be annoying. See, Madame Maya thinks it's okay that he's just being protective of me, and she finds that rather loving.
The nerve of that man. Woman.
Well, you have to admit it's awfully desperate.
Well, Kevin's a shrink. Nothing surprises me there, but Mac. There was something about that, Eve. There really was. You know, Mac was enjoying that just a little too much.
Yeah, but he is a private investigator, so he has to take his job very seriously.
Mm-hmm. Right down to the pantyhose.
Anyway, I figure they need to learn a lesson from this little charade. So, are you going to answer my question?
All right, Gracie. What was the question? All right. You want my wisdom here? Okay, here it comes. I think that the thing men most need to learn about women is that what they want is full partnership. And I think it boils down to a basic universal truth. It's for everybody. Trust. That is the ballgame.
Full partnership. Trust. You got it. That is exactly it. Because think about all the relationships that we know that are in trouble. It's trust, or lack of it, that seems to be at the heart of their troubles.
And so shall it ever be.
I mean it. I mean, Kevin, he wants to trust me. He really does. But there is something about me, you know, that makes him overprotective and worried all the time. And I know that because I feel the same thing about him. And then everything gets blown out of proportion and we fight and everything gets hateful.
And somehow this has something to do with him cruising Port Charles in a sari and matching pumps?
Yes, because he doesn't trust me to take care of myself. Don't you see? That's why he thinks that Madame Maya's going to just use me and throw me away unless he stops her, which I think is very patronizing, very disrespectful, and he's not treating me like a full partner.
I don't suppose you would consider confronting him with this and sitting down together to mutually dissect the problem.
No, because Dr. Collins needs to be taught a lesson.
Okay, of course. So much for respect.
He needs to learn. The lesson is you have got to trust the person you love.
So anyway, there he was with that arrogant little smile on his face, boxing my ears on the evening news.
Damien certainly is his father's son. He just dresses it up better, but then, of course, a gun causes an unsightly bulge in a designer suit.
Any suggestions?
Justus, I already suggested it. When it comes to low-down, dirty business tactics, there's nobody wilier than old Eddie Quartermain.
Luke, you have no idea how much it galls me to even think about playing that card.
Justus, you can't change the facts of your birth. You've got to make them work for you. If it galls you that much, put a bag over his head and do it for Charles Street.
Okay. Edward it is. First thing tomorrow. I gotta run.
Put your money away.
Thanks.
Bye.
You cook me breakfast, I do the dishes.
Where are all these impulses when you're children, huh?
Well, better late than never.
Are you up?
Up, honey, we practically the mid-morning break. How you
Doing okay?
Well, overworked as always.
I meant about the news last night. I saw Damien's pitch.
Painful, but far from fatal.
I hate to see him twisting things like that.
But you know, at least you got the first shot in with his newspaper article.
Yes, and now at least I know how hard he counterpunches. So I'm moving into my counterattack strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good, because I've done a little research, and I've come up with some major ammunition.
Ooh.
Well, let me put these dishes
Honey,
up.
sit down. Let me hear all about this.
You're going to love this.
Okay, I'm all yours.
All right. Part of Damien's construction site, not all of it, but the part that they've indicated will be the parking lot, has been, for the last 10 years, designated by the government as a natural wetland. Apparently, it absorbs the runoff from the river.
That's good.
That's very good. See, as such, the land is protected from development by federal statute.
Oh, bless my soul, my Lord.
This is probably why the previous owner never built here. He couldn't get the permits that he needed for the land use, and he eventually just gave up and unloaded the property.
Well, what a smart fella. I mean, who'd want to build on a swamp?
How did Damien get a permit?
I don't know.
Couldn't we cite the precedent and protest his building plan?
Well, there's certainly justification, and even if we can't stop him cold, we can tie him up with bad press and litigation.
Well done, Laura.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, desperation is the mother of invention.
Yeah, so when do we put on our walking shoes?
Well, now, I don't know that picketing is the way to go with this. See, this is a real trump card. I think we need to stack the deck a little bit more in our favor before we play it.
How so?
Well, I planned a little visit this morning to the old card shark himself. You want to come along and get some advice from Edward?
Excuse me, Justice Ward and Laura Spencer.
Oh, good morning.
Hi, Laura. Justice.
Good morning. Good morning, folks. Sorry to invade your breakfast.
Well, this is no invasion. Come on. sit
Please,
down.
help yourself.
Oh, it's so good to see you again.
And you, my dear. Well, what can we do for you?
Well, we're here to discuss Daco.
Oh, Lord. That infernal Damien Smith was on the tube last night, blasting your interview in the paper. Made us all look bad.
Yes, well, he can put a spin on things, can't he? In any case, Laura has dug up this information I think we can use to fight back, and that's why we're here. We need some specialized advice.
On what?
Fighting dirty. Stands at 1-1. This puts us back in the batter's box. How do we knock it out of the park?
Well, let's see. He's going for the political family angle, so avoid that like the plague. It's a non-issue anyway. No, stick with things we can prove. But we may be able to cork the bat. Start with Crawford Beale.
City Planning Commissioner.
The same. We'll co-opt him. Get him to block Damien's building permit.
How do we do that?
Well, you get on the phone with the Audubon Society and the National Wildlife Federation, Greenpeace, EPA, and any of those other warm, fuzzy groups that you can think of, apprising them of the imminent doom on Royal Street. Be sure they know who the city planning commissioner is.
I don't really think it's going to take too many calls and letters across Crawford's desk before he sees the light.
Exactly. This is rich. At last, a use for all those bleeding heart liberal greenies.
How well do you know Beale?
That's step 2. Now you listen. Commissioner Beale, please. Tell him it's Edward Quartermain calling. Oh, how the hell are you? Huh? Good. Good. Say, how would you feel about a little friendly game of poker tonight? Oh, we'll round up the usual suspects, plus a couple of new faces. Well, on neutral turf, naturally. I wouldn't want to fleece you at my own house again, now would I? Say, are you familiar with that back room over at Luke's club? Oh, good. Well, why don't we meet there? Say what, 8-ish? All right. Well, we'll see you then. We're on. I assume that reprobate husband of yours can accommodate us.
Well,
I'll clear it with Luke on the way back to the foundation.
Good. All right, now, here's our game plan. We butter up Crawl. Show him a good time, let him win a few hands, and then we'll... Say, Laura, do you plan to be there?
Well, I will if you think that it will help.
Well, Crawford Beale always appreciates a pretty face.
Mr. Quartermain, you are irredeemably sexist.
And unfailingly pragmatic. My dear, if you feel free enough to call me to task, when are you going to feel comfortable enough with me to call me Edward? Now, we're co-conspirators after all these years.
Oh, well, we wouldn't want to confuse our public image now, would we? I mean, a little antagonism could be useful to us both.
Ooh, she's learning. And you, my dear, will your pretty face grace our table also?
I'm afraid you're going to have to struggle through this one without me, dear. I'm introducing the library lecture series tonight.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
And Nora, I rely on you to keep him in hand.
I'll do my best.
And you, councilman, sully your hands with this dirty work?
Deal me in.
You know you might learn a couple of things. Now, remember, we're not going there to keep things in line. We're going to co-opt a public official.